Session 6. Topic of our session 6 is digital enhancements of robotics in security systems. It will be presented by Dr. A. Chitra ma'am. We extend a warm welcome to Dr. A. Chitra ma'am. Welcome you ma'am.
Thank you.
Dr. A. Chitra ma'am has over 35 years of experience in the field of computer science engineering and applications in teaching and research at PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore. She has a proven track record of academic and research achievements. She has received various national and state awards in recognition to the substantial contributions to the field of computer science and engineering, higher education, and active involvement in professional societies. She is the recipient of Tamil Nadu Young Woman Scientist Award, ISTE National Award for Outstanding Academician, and IETE MN Saha Award and a gold medal for the best application-oriented paper published in IETE journals during 2007. She has published around 100 papers in national and international journals and conferences. She is a fellow member of Institution of Engineers, life member of ISTE, ACCS, and CS. She is the vice president of the Advanced Computing and Communication Society. She is adept to she is adept at fostering a culture of innovation, research, and academic excellence. She has extensive knowledge in curriculum development. She has received Management and Management Institute.
Ma'am, voice is not coming properly.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, ma'am, you may proceed.
Sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. She has extensive knowledge in curriculum development, accreditation process, and faculty development. She has received CMI Level 5 Certificate Management and Leadership from Chartered Management Institute. She, as Director of Internal Quality Assurance Cell at PSG College of Technology, has worked on the institution's quality enhancement and assurance initiatives, ensuring continuous improvement and quality standards compliance. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. At an outset, good evening to all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. At the outset, I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to address the gathering on the topic on digital enhancements of robotics in security systems. Just give me a minute to share my screen. Is the screen visible?
Yeah, ma'am. Screen is visible.
Yeah. See, the topic of the talk is on digital enhancements of robotics in security systems. This is a wide topic The technology is what we talk about evolving robotics, the features of robo when it was developed in the initial stages and to the current. The integration of advanced technologies such as AI, IoT, computer vision, cloud computing, all of these have enhanced not only robots but in all the domains. AI has become a transformative force in the field of robotics, healthcare, education, whatever you call it. Since we are talking today mainly on robotics, we will see how these technologies enhance the way the robots function today. For a couple of minutes, just give me a minute, just give me a minute. See, if you take the robotics, the field of robotics, from the stage of initial development to the modern technological enhancements, it has evolved from a simple mechanical automation system. You should have, see, when we think about robo a few years back, normally it would be in the form of a robotic arm picking up the manufactured parts in an industry. But today, if you see a robot, it is an intelligent autonomous system. As far as the functioning is concerned, it is from it. The initial robot was meant for handling repetitive tasks, hazardous one, where you need very high precision. But today, the complete role of robotics have been transformed into adaptive, intelligent systems, which are mainly collaborators capable of learning and perceiving the real time scenarios and making real time decisions as well. What is behind the robotic development in order to get all of these out of them? That is the current technologies on artificial intelligence, machine learning, sensors, computing power, cloud computing, and all this. Now, look at this small video that has come. It is an autonomous security robot, which is named as Nightscope K5. It is meant for security purpose, but in terms of the task it does, you could see it is used for object recognition because while it is moving, it is finding out where the objects are and making its own path, threat detection, finding out unusual movements, unusual objects. Then it does an autonomous patrolling in public places. So this is the current scenario of what we see as robots today, especially in the security domain as far as the topic is concerned. Now, this lecture will be focused on what is behind these robots, what technology is included, and what makes them perform in this way. The key enhancements in robotics enable them to perform surveillance, threat detection, and emergency response with minimal human intervention. Behind all of these digital enhancements, AI serves as the brain of all of these robots. It is because artificial intelligence provides the ability to learn, reason, and interact intelligently with the environment. That is the reason why AI is used to as a transformative force in all of the domains. Looking at what AI systems are, as discussed in the previous slide, we saw that the ability of AI is to see, learn, analyze, make deductions, and all that, make decisions. Now, comparing the aspects of traditional robots which were there in olden days with the AI enhanced robots. See, these robots have been one for a while, few years back, in all movies, the robots have come as an imaginary character. They were made to do certain tasks, they were made to react to the users' responses and all that. But with the current advancements in the technologies, those fictions are becoming real. Today's robots, with the support of AI, can self learn and adapt themselves with the environment. With the real time data available, they can make their own decisions. The smart sensors built in the robots are used for the visual and thermal analytics. They are all autonomous with very minimal human intervention or the supervision. Basically, AI can be categorized into two, one as weak AI and the other as the strong AI. Weak AI refers to the ability of the system to complete a specific task. If you look at the technologies that are involved in design of weak AI, it is mainly with natural language processing, NLP, and computer vision. What you see as virtual assistants, Siri, Alexa, all that in your mobile phone, are part of weak AI developments. If you take the other side of AI, a strong AI, which is still in research, they are to incorporate the human behavior, taking the ability to interpret the tone and emotion and behave more closely to the human. See, the AI systems or any form of AI has learned the content from what was created by the human. Okay, I'll come to this challenges and the future enhancement in the last slide later. Now, AI, the related term of AI is the machine intelligence. The machine learning part, it allows the robots to learn from the data and experiences. See, instead, earlier, if you take programming, it was based on the instructions. Input is given, we know what the output should be, and we have been writing instructions to get that. Now, instead of relying on fixed programming, machine learning supports robots to adapt their behavior based on the patterns and feedback. especially in safety systems. The machine learning algorithms analyze the sensor data to detect unusual patterns, predict failures, and respond to threats in real time. See, you should have seen cases of such robots in airports detecting unattended luggages. See, I've arranged the slide such that I'll be talking about the key enhancements behind the development of the robots, but these advancements, these technologies are common for any of the domain. There are many technologies associated with it, starting with AI, ML, DL, generative AI, cloud, IoT, and all that. I will make a brief mention of most of the technologies, but I will concentrate more on generative AI and how to design a system for using robots for security using generative AI, so that later you can use the technology for developing applications in other fields as well. Okay, it is not only for robotics, you can use it for the other fields as well. Now, AI, ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, neural network are all related terms. And how are they related? What made AI and ML so popular? It is their capability to analyze data, learn from experiences, and make informed decisions. These are the three key features of the AI: adaptive learning, pattern recognition. I said it is learning from experiences, analyzing the data, and predictive decision making, allowing them to function effectively in unstructured environments. Meaning of unstructured is nothing is well defined. If you are monitoring the CCTV footages in a mall, you cannot give a pattern. You cannot give the events as structured, the crowd in a structured mood. Okay, so these are some of the key features that makes AI and ML so popular in the field of robotics. Now, another key feature of AI which is being used here is the predictive analytics. See, earlier these robots, when used in industrial plants, they analyze the vibration and temperature data to predict equipment failure or chemical leaks, preventing accidents. Now, when you're talking about safety systems, security systems, in some way or other, the robot should capture the data coming from the various sensors and check for anything that is unusual from the regular pattern. Another technology here is the natural language processing. Natural language processing, NLP, allows robots to understand and respond to human speech, facilitating communication between humans and machines. See, nowadays there are many applications that have become user friendly because of integration of NLP into them. There are several ways in which NLP are used to enhance the feature and usability of the applications, supporting multilingual languages, and it is not so difficult now to develop a software or an application which will have NLP features. You have got tools to do that. This Cobalt Robo is a patrol robo. that has been designed to interact with people to provide assistance or the warnings. See, especially when you design a robot for helping elderly people or for providing information to the visitors coming to a mall or an exhibition sort of thing, there is it could be effective only if it can communicate in the language that the users, actual human users, could understand. So this is a technology which could make the robot design more effective. Next, integration of computer vision, fixing up cameras, making them see and collect the images, and with the support of the image processing algorithms and AI, making it useful for recognition of faces, person, object, and all such things. Next is the Internet of Things, IoT integration. So the design of the robot, like the one which I had shown in the beginning, a video, it has multiple sensors. Depending on the application, it will have sensors for motion, heat, sound, gas, whatever it is. It is designed for creating a complete situational picture. AI will process the data that comes from all of these, and it will use these multi-sensor data to create a comprehensive understanding of the environment. Now, using all of this, the Internet of Things, IoT, the robots are able to communicate with the control centers, enabling a coordinated responses to emergencies. It can connect people from various fields. And finally, one another technique which is so popular is cloud computing and the big data analytics. Here we use the cloud platforms to store and analyze massive amounts of video and sensor data. See, there are multiple advantages of using cloud platforms. One is when you put the data, what has been collected from here, the others can also make an analysis on it. And it also reduces the storage on the device. Advanced analytics can detect the anomalies, generate reports, optimize the pattern routes based on the risk assessments. The next technology, what is enhancing the robo, is the simultaneous localization and mapping, making the robots have autonomous navigation part. This is essential for robots deployed in large facilities like mines, it could be warehouses, or any disaster zones where human access may be limited, or it could be the other way where the human access, there is danger in the human access. Cybersecurity integration. See, security robots now include encryption, access control, anomaly detection to prevent hacking and data breaches. Regular software updates and blockchain verifications improve the digital integrity part of it. Now, we have covered several digital enhancements that I have raised the level of robotics, usage of robotics in safety systems, in security systems. Because of these technologies, various applications have come out for the public. It could be from a residential security to the military level. There are several applications which benefit the humanity. Now we will see what are the machine learning techniques that are used in the robotic safety systems. These are not very specific for robotic safety systems, but they are the general techniques which are used in the design of any systems as well uh, for the machine learning. One is supervised learning. See, basically, when you say learning, there are different forms of learning: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. When it comes to supervised learning, the system is trained with labeled data sets from which it will learn how to classify the unknown sets. Labeled data sets in the sense, for the training data, you know what the input is and what the output are.
Mom,
Yes.
ma'am.
Hello. Are there any questions for me or is it?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You continue.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Shall I proceed?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Process, please.
Okay. In safety systems, when you take supervised learning, it can be used for object and person recognition. See, when you authorize some of the person, you take the attendance system in your organization. It could be college or a company. When a new employee joins, we take the biometric, we take the face, and we label them with their ID. Intrusion detection, equipment fault prediction. So you know what is the correct output from these systems. You know what the input is, you know what the output are in an ideal system. So you have a labeled data set and you can process that. Here the algorithms such as support vector machines or random forest, convolutional neural networks commonly use supervised learning. They work on the labeled data set. On the other hand is the unsupervised learning. It is the place where we don't have the classified data, meaning that we have a set of inputs, but we don't have the predefined labels. So, what does these systems do? Machine learning systems do? They look out for a pattern in the input and try to cluster them, group them as a similar class. Relating this to the safety systems, this is very crucial for identifying abnormal events that do not match historical patterns. See, when you say it is an unusual behavior or an abnormal event, it would have not happened in the recent future, by recent past. We may not have records of similar activity. But how are we identifying that? Only clue here is it is something different from what has been happening in the recent past. So, what does your system do? It learns that it is different from what has happened and it is something unusual. So, here the techniques like clustering, autoencoders are all used. I'm not going to explain how this clustering and autoencoders work here because of lack of time. I'm just mentioning about the algorithms that you might explore to apply for any of your system design. Third is reinforcement learning. See, a simple definition of supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning is supervised learning, a teacher teaching a student. Unsupervised learning on their own. Reinforcement learning is you learn something, you show the output, and there is someone to say that it is right or wrong. You get a feedback. Based on the feedback, you improve your learning. That is what happens here. Now, in some of the systems, you can make the robot to learn the optimal behavior through trial and error. When it is when noting down its output, there could be a feedback system which can say it is correct or it is wrong, meaning that it gives rewards or penalties, which improves the performance. Relating it to the safety applications, this will be useful in your autonomous navigation. So you think of an autonomous car driving in a traffic road, in a road. You cannot explain to it or you cannot code the way it has to drive. You cannot say like from going from place A to place B, this is the route they will have to take. This is the speed they will have to go. That is not defined. That cannot be defined. So it starts learning on its own, looking at the obstacles, it refines its learning and it gets adapted to the environment. So these are the three forms of learning techniques mostly used in machine learning applications in general. We have seen AI. AI is the center component, primary component. A part of it was ML, and a subset of it is deep learning. Deep learning basically uses neural networks with multiple layers to analyze the complex data pattern in the large data sets as images, audio, and sensor data. The deep learning enhances the computer vision because when you have an image data, the size itself is large. Speech, image, sensor fusion, all of these need a deep learning architecture. Now, coming to the challenges and ethical considerations, there are privacy concerns from facial recognition. Since the robotic systems itself are connected, there are cybersecurity risks and there are regulatory issues regarding autonomy and liability also. Now, we have been talking about AI, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks. Now, when you take what is the main difference between all of this? AI is a primary system, a bigger circle. Inside that is machine learning, inside that is deep learning, and the fundamental part is the neural networks. It is basically the number of nodes, number of layers, the depth of the neural network that distinguishes a single neural network from a deep learning algorithm. See, when you call a deep learning, it is basically a neural network with more than 3 layers of hidden layers. Now, this bit, I've covered a part of this in the previous slides. Since I've got a generative AI to cover, I'm skipping this slide. If you look at a deep learning structure, the fundamental part of is the neural network, or I could even say that this is the backbone of the deep learning algorithms. Neural networks are made up of node layers. They've got input layer, hidden layer, one or more hidden layers, and an output layer. The function of a neuron, the node in a neural network, simulates the function of a neuron in the brain. So each node connects to the next one, which has a weight, the synaptic weight in the biological term, and a threshold value. A node may be connected to several nodes. So it collects the inputs from all of these connecting nodes and calculates its output. When the output is above the threshold value, the node is activated and sends its data to the next layer. If suppose this value is below the threshold, no data passes along the next layer. Now, iteratively, you keep training the neural network in order to improve the accuracy over the time. Initial applications of neural networks were mainly on speech and image recognition tasks. Google search algorithm is a well-known example of a neural network. This I was explaining it along the previous slide itself. Now, coming to the main topic on generative AI. What is generative AI? And how could you use generative AI for robot design meant for security systems? See, generative AI is a category of artificial intelligence. It can generate new synthetic data such as images, text, or video based on the patterns learned from existing data. See, initial AI models were focusing on analyzing the data, classifying the data. Whereas generative model, as the name generative implies, it is meant to create the new content that mimics the structure of the original data. The large language models, LLMs, which most of us use, which are very powerful form of generative AI, are generating human-like text. See, when you use an LLM, it could be used for writing an essay, it could be used to write a technical report, it could be used to write a code, programming code in any of the languages, it could do any stuff. Because it is based on a large corpus of data. The smaller version of it, the small language models, focus on specialized tasks with the less data. The retrieval augmented generation. These are the models which enhance by pulling the external information for more accurate results. Along with what has been generated by them, it uses the external information to refine the output further. There are few generative AI models. The most common one is the generative adversarial networks. GANs. If you look at this, it is basically formed with two neural networks. One is called a generator, the other is called a discriminator. The role of the first neural network generator is to generate the new content, and the discriminator is to evaluate the accuracy and quality of the generated data. They are used for image and video generations. They can generate high quality realistic content. Now it is so popular to give your image, asking OpenAI systems to create pictures of you in various styles. All of this are part of this network. They are capable of creating synthetic data to increase the size and diversity of a training data set. Can make it generate the data. I'll show you a small example to see how these two neural networks work. The generator learns to generate plausible data. They start with the random data. The images or the instances created by the generator are negative training examples for the discriminator. Whereas the discriminator learns to distinguish the generator's fake data from the real data. See, this is a simple example taken from the report on GAN. Look at the first generated data. It nowhere matches with the real data. Real data is the US currency note. It is totally a fake data. So when training begins, the generator produces obviously a fake data because it is starting from a random one. What does the discriminator do? It quickly learns to tell that it is fake. After few iterations, the generator is generating a better data. And when your training is complete, you find the generator generating a real data. This is how the GAN generates a random data and gets trained to show the real data. Coming to the architecture of the GAN, there are two modules. One is generator, the other is a discriminator. With the random input, the generator generates some sample data. To start with, it is all fake data, which will not be anywhere closer to your real data. There is a discriminator neural network. The generator output is connected directly to the discriminator input. So through backpropagation, the discriminator's classification provides a signal that the generator uses to update its weight. So the backpropagation is very much similar to the neural network backpropagation algorithms you've got. Now, from where does the some inputs to the discriminator come? How do you train that? Discriminator here, in a simple word, it is a classifier. It is a neural network designed to work as a classifier. How does it classify? It tries to distinguish the real data from the data created by the generator. There are two sources of input for the discriminator. One is the real data, the real pictures of the people. They serve as the positive examples during the training. The fake data, which is created by the generator, serve as the negative instances during the training. You should note one point here. During discriminator training, the generator does not train. In the sense, the weights there will remain constant. It generates the image. Excuse me. Yeah, during the training process, excuse me. During the training process of the discriminator, the discriminator receives input from both real data sample and the fake data sample. The loss function is computed to penalize the incorrect classifications. So based on the feedback given by the discriminator, the weights are updated through propagation, and these steps are repeated till you get the correct classification. Now, the other neural network as part of GAN is the GAN generator. GAN generator works with random input. So the generator receives random noise as input. And these noise are transformed into synthetic data samples, the data instances. The generator's performance is indirectly evaluated through the discriminator, which classifies generated samples as either real or fake. Excuse me. Now, the generator training iteration is like this. It starts from the sample random noise as input. It generates synthetic data from the noise. It gives it to the discriminator. There it obtains the discriminator's classification of the generated data. Then the loss is computed. Backpropagate the loss through both the networks to calculate the gradients. And when you are training the GAN generator, you are updating only the generator's weight using the computed gradients. Okay, this is the major part of the GAN, model of GAN. The other generative AI models are the variational autoencoders. These models focus on learning a probabilistic distribution of data, which can be used to generate new data. the other transformers which are used in the ChatGPT form. They are initially designed for language tasks. Now that you use them to generate images, music, and other forms of content as well. These are also part of generative AI models. Okay. Now, what are the key areas where generative AI in specific can be integrated into robotics for security applications? Since the topic is on AI for security system, I discussed a very popular AI type, generative AI. Whatever I've been talking about, the architecture, CAN, and other things are common for any of the systems that use generative AI. And to map it with the application we've got, robotics for security system, we will look at in which area of robotics can this generative AI get into. Coming to autonomous decision making, the first is environment modeling. You can use Gen AI to simulate possible scenarios and generate models of environments so that your robot could be able to learn and improve its ability to make decisions in uncertain or dynamic situations. Generative AI can generate normal behavior models or can simulate what a secure environment should look like. Now, comparing the real-time sensor data from the robo to what has been generated as the ideal model, the robo can detect the anomalies, the unauthorized persons or unusual activities. You can use the synthetic data generation for training. Then the other area where you can use generative AI is the real-time video analysis for the enhancement. See, those who are working specific on these cases can explore the use of Gen AI on these key areas. Because next is I've got a detailed design of AI's robotic systems using Gen AI. What are the steps involved in it? So we can spend the next, now it is 8:30. We'll spend time in next half an hour in looking at the design of such systems. You can integrate a Gen AI part into robotics for adaptive behavior generation, which includes autonomous behavior scripting, learning from experience, then robo interaction using natural language processing, personalized personalized uh, personalized interaction. Excuse me. This is the main part. Suppose if you want to design generative AI systems for robotics and security, where should your design start with and how should the architecture of such systems be? See, it should involve multiple layers, as I've mentioned here. It should involve multiple layers, each responsible for specific functions within the robo's operation. As in any other system, the first layer is for data collection. What is the main role of data collection layer? First is it has to collect the data from the various sensors. There can be multiple sensors in the robo. There can be cameras, there can be sensors. It has to collect all the data there. This data has lot of information on simulating the environment. Environmental data is there. Like there could be a sensor for measuring the temperature, humidity, motion, the location of the robo, GPS data, all that will be there. Now, all these data, whatever has been collected, are gathered and it should be fed into the generative AI models for processing. So this is the initial step, collecting all the data, gathering them together and putting them in the form which can be given to the AI model. Next is the generative AI model layer. Here you have the predefined models, like what we have discussed earlier as SCAN or the transformers. They are to process and generate the data. See, these models could be pre-trained on large data sets based on the earlier footage, and now they can adapt to the new data inputs. Using the generative models, the simulation of the environment is created. This allows the robot to interact with the environment virtually before taking actions in the real world. So as we discussed earlier, once it has been trained to see what the real environment is and what it has gathered from the previous step, it could sense the anomalies there. The next layer in the design is the decision-making layer, where we will have to use the form of learning. This is the layer which will explore its environment and make decisions. See, as we discussed in the previous slides on the learning, the feedback will enhance the performance of the system. The rewards and penalties based on how they correctly do or how they have to correct themselves will enhance the learning process. Over the time, this leads the robot generating better strategies for specific tasks like patrolling or investigating alarms. See, based on the experience and the inputs what it has collected, this can generate policies or strategies to follow based on the current context, learned behaviors, and predictive models from the generative AI layer. So it keeps refining itself, what it has learned, what it has simulated, and what it has seen, so that its future actions will be better. Next layer is the action layer. Action layer is the system. This is the physical control system which will interpret the AI's decision and translate them into the physical action. This is the layer which brings the actual movement of the system. Excuse me. For example, it might move the robot to a specific location, or it might activate a sensor, or it can generate an alarm. So all of these physical actions are done at this layer, And the reason for making these actions are from the decisions made from the previous layer. Excuse me. Then last is the human-robot interface. Here comes the use of natural language interface for communication with the human operators. Generative AI models generate human-like responses, enabling more intuitive human-robot interactions. See, when do you say that or in other words, what will be the performance metrics for such a system? When you have designed a robot to do the task of a human, its response should be such that you're not able to differentiate whether it has come from a robot or from a human. So the difference in such responses are because of the technologies of AI. It could be in various forms of AI or various forms of computing power. Okay. So these are the ways in which Gen AI can be brought into design of robotics in the security systems. Now to close, final note. There are still a lot of things that you can do with AI. Now you can integrate 5G for real-time communication and cloud AI. You can bring in coordinated security operations because you could have deployed robots in various places. You can have a coordinated security systems. Edge AI. Edge AI is basically for processing the data locally for instant decision making and for real-time processing on the device. The main advantage of using AI, Edge AI, is to make the computation faster so that the decisions what has been made looks more realistic. The other research idea is on the human-robot collaboration. I was talking about strong AI. Strong AI is to compete with the human capability, to combine human intuition with robotic precision. Robots are very good in doing precise work, accuracy will be more, but human intuition is more powerful. How do you combine both of these together? Next is emotionally intelligent robots, capable of understanding the tone and emotion of people. See, as of now, such emotionally intelligent systems have not come. Work is still on bringing up the capabilities of AI systems. You could realize this from the way you use your ChatGPT for generating a programming code. If you give a task how to generate the code, how do you check whether the code it has generated is correct or not? It depends on what was given to it is how good your prompt was. We call it as prompt engineer. So there are a lot of things that have to be enhanced for making the future robots. So those who do research, these are not in a single domain. To make a robotic system, it is totally multidisciplinary. Many technologies in computer science are involved. It includes good kind sensors, IoT, control systems, all that is there. Okay. With this, I close my presentation, and I again thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to be part of this program. And I appreciate I'm on time. I appreciate the participants for joining the session, even though it is a bit late in the evening. And this is a more generic topic, so that no single field can be dealt in detail in the 1.5 hours. So what I have mentioned is I've given you all the technologies. Probably you can explore in these directions and you can work on it. It would be my greatest pleasure if I can be of support to any of you in your further research. You can reach me at ctr.psg@gmail.com. Thank you again. It was nice to be with you in this session. Thank you.